What's up, guys? Oh man, I'm watching some 1980s animes. Oh man, I ain't gonna lie. I miss the older animes. I was watching this one about men and women, how they separated from Earth, and that men were fighting women, and they were making children through factories and that, like DNA factories and shit. And it's not really a fucked up anime. It's an 80s anime, so the animation's kind of like Gundam back in the 90s and that, or fucking actually in the 80s, because Gundam was in the 80s and that. But the premise of it was that like the men and women separated. They all went on their separate planets to live and prosper. And like the women we're talking about, the women that they meet are like pirates. They don't care about gender. They're like, they want to get away from the whole woman thing, because they were saying like, women would be extremely dramatized, and they were basically looking for men that they didn't like want to fight with them, to try to like negotiate with them. And it kind of gave me a good idea. And then when I was thinking about that, I'm like, it seems like that's what women always tend want to do. Feminist women. This is back in the 80s. It's kind of funny that kind of like happened like that. Men think they could do good on their own without women. And inside of things that men, in some ways are, capable of doing specific things. But like being emotional, being like kind of caring and kind of like, it's very hard for men to do that. And then the women have too much feelings, too much emotions, that they want to, express themselves 24/7 about specific things, and that in a very, either whine about it or more or less get angry about it and stuff like that, And so, on the contrary, how our lives are as females and males, we tendently live a life that without each other we can't become whole. Just like what Jesus said in the Bible, man and female, they're meant to be together to be whole. Which is why when you get people that are gay, they're never whole. You're just with the same half. And of course, gay people tend to take a role of being a female-ish type, but they're still male, so they still deal with certain things. Despite the fact that, nowadays, why do females divorce males so much? Well, when it comes down to it, both genders play too much. Females want to play and party and do stupid shit, and then the male contract, this is like Gen Z and millennials most likely. Like most millennial men play a fuckload of video games. They're really heavy in the video games. And I say Gen Z's like that too, but a lot of them like to go out and, and party and be stupid and shit. But every single time I think about it from my age and that, because I'm a early millennial. I think millennials started like 89 or something like that. Ooh, man, those sneezes are fucking terrible. Man, I still hurt like a fucking bitch from that. But anyway, it kind of made me think though. These animes were like 85, and that they were really like, they were 5 or so years before I was born, and they were very constructive of how like males and females act. Like one of the female pirates is kind of a little bit masculine because she's like a commander. She's like the one that is the main strategist of the female fleet, of the pirate fleet. So she directs people, not the commander, but she's like below the commander. And she was explaining why they left. So like, we left the female world, like, oh, it's really clean and really pretty and that, but like all women do is gossip and gawk all day long about just random stupid shit basically. So the commander and a whole bunch of other people that want to get away from the drama, that they pull themselves out of that world, and they start going around and flying through space and that and living their own lives. And like when she was explaining it like that, it made perfect sense. I say a very small amount of females don't want to be that dramatized bullshit. Like the girls I work with at work, like the two, let's call them the crazy sisters, completely like that. Dramatize every damn thing 24/7. It's like they have very low responsibility. Their responsibility is very, very low. And they, and they want to say that no, your responsibility of a woman, if you're not having kids, you have very low responsibility. Same thing with men. If men are not trying to better themselves to try to get a woman to have kids with, you have very low responsibility. It's not to say you're a bad person. It's not to say anything like that. Your responsibility is low. My responsibilities are super fucking low. I don't have a family. I worry about myself. I worry about, of course, my parents and that, or people around me that are close to me. But I don't worry about, like, my kid or my woman because I don't have one. So my responsibility is very low. But people want to say that the responsibilities are super high and that I do all this stuff. No, you don't. Why you gotta lie to yourself? You don't do anything. Like most of these women, they potentially do have boyfriends, but they're not married. They're not even trying to have kids. They're just there. It's like the potential next step doesn't want to be taken because they're afraid of losing their entertainment. They're afraid to, gaining more responsibilities because, unfortunately, that's just how life is. It's like, well, I want to play. You can, but you're going to play so long before you get bored of it. Like me, for instance, I get bored of doing it. It's like, personally, do I want to have kids sometime like in the near future? Actually, yeah, I kind of do. Why? Because life's boring. It's not as fun as it used to be 10, 15, or even 20 years ago when I was young. The excitement's down. Like the only thing I have going for me that's actually entertainment is bodybuilding, lifting weights, building muscle, gaining new knowledge, gaining more wisdom, preaching the gospel. I play my video games and that. I say I always want to become a YouTube person and make much money, but that's not who I am. I can't say I really even care about it, honestly. I just do it just for fun. And when I'm sitting there and a lot of people want all this attention, and they do, because you don't do nothing with your life. Your responsibilities are super low. You have no hobbies, you have no interests, so you rely on everybody else's ways of living to make you feel better. That's how I feel that a lot of these people potentially do. Like talking about many people that don't do nothing at all. They lay around all day and like have no opportunities of wanting to do anything. Like living is actually living. You're doing stuff. You're trying to produce stuff, or you're trying to do things that you actually like and you enjoy. Just sitting around and doing absolutely nothing kind of defeats the purpose. And that's one of the things I go out with what these crazy sisters do. Except for they're not bad people, they're just kind of like, I guess you would say, for women that I want, for what I think a woman should be, they're like only like that when they want to be attentionated. And it goes down the line. They don't know how to like sit there and just do what they need to do, stay at work without fucking throwing out enormous amount of emotions everywhere. Like discussing things and talking about things, say about it happened at work and that. But they put so much feelings into everything that it becomes like well, they're narcissists. Them two just don't shut the fuck up when it comes down to certain things. Like they never want anyone else to have a word in. Especially if they want someone that's more intelligent than them, they refuse to believe that someone has more wisdom than them. Like I noticed that with a lot of people, and that's like you guys don't want to sit there and actually listen. You guys just want to just talk your fucking mouth off and pretend that you're doing something, but you're not doing anything. You're literally just sitting there regurgitating everything that someone else says because you are stupid.
And that's pride. Your pride of yourself is so condensed that you don't want to realize how dumb you really are. And it's not a bad thing to be stupid. Being dumb is not bad, nor good. It's just knowledge. But you want to listen to be able to gain more knowledge. And that's where it comes down to, like, hobbies. You want to get more intelligent, that should be a hobby. You should always want to gain more wisdom. You should always want to listen to people that know more than you so you can have a better life. But the contrary, they don't do that. They fight against it all the time. They'll make up shit, and they'll say this and say that. And same thing with some of the males that I work with. They kind of do the same thing. Some of them just, they'll listen, but then they're like little kids. Like, they never pay attention in school at all. I said that's the main focus of school. It's not the knowledge that you gain, because most knowledge you gain in school is very intermediate knowledge. It's just the basics of knowledge so you could be able to communicate and do mathematics. And maybe learn a little bit about, like, psychology and learn how to talk to people and shit like that. Basic communication. Most of the shit you learn is outside of school. So when people get outside of school, they're all like, well, the teacher's saying that's like this, like that's not how the world actually works. The world's unfair and uneven for a reason, because everybody has different walks of knowledge, different walks of strengths all together. So not everyone's going to be the same. We can't be the same. We can have similar interests, yeah, but we're not going to be the same at the same time. Some people are going to be more intelligent than you. You have to accept that as a reality. And a lot of people don't like to accept that, because they poison their minds to delude themselves to think that they're special. I'm not even joking. And this is where we come down to, this is how a lot of people tend to act. And it's not even saying women or males. It's just a personality trait. You're so prideful of your own self that you love holding guilt. They love being stressed out. And I said, why do you want to be stressed out? Because life's so stressful. Your life's stressful because you choose to be stressful, because you don't know the basics of life itself. Your brain's struggling to understand things, so you stress out about it, but you refuse to acknowledge that you don't know. You think you already know. So I just sit there like, oh, I'll listen to you, let's have a conversation about something. Let's compare knowledge together. Let's compare what you know compared to what I know. Maybe I'll learn something. Same thing with me. Maybe I'll learn something. Like, the teacher always learns when they teach the student, because there's always times a student's going to say something that the teacher's going to be like, oh, I never thought about that. That's how knowledge is. But when people have this overcompensating pride, they believe they know a bunch of shit, but really they don't know anything at all. They talk, when they get frustrated and get upset about these things, they get really fucking emotional. And they start yelling and fucking screaming and getting really upset, and they hyperventilate and shit. And people walk to them, and I said, don't coerce a child, especially when they're full-grown adults. Don't give them any attention. But they feel bad. Yeah, okay, but that's the point. They're acting like a child. They're crying and pouting like fucking kids because someone didn't discipline them when they were younger. And they never found any discipline as they got older, so they still act like they do when they're fucking 7 or 8 years old. The same type. Wham, 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 and get upset about stuff because they lack the knowledge of it. And then they think, well, I'm just stupid. And I go, yeah, you are fucking stupid. You're 100% right. But the way you think about being dumb is bad. It's not bad. You just don't know. If you don't know something, it's nor bad or good. It's lack of knowledge. You can't determine what's bad and good if you don't know it. It doesn't make sense. If you don't know that kicking someone on the balls or grabbing on some titties and that as a man or a woman or whatever it is, you don't know that it's bad until someone tells you that it's bad. If you never knew it, then you're never going to know it. That's just how it works. It's like, why do people get on drugs? Because someone tells them to try it out. Someone that they trust. Go, it's okay, smoke a little weed, and it's okay, and that. You'll be okay. Just smoke a little bit, it's okay. It doesn't change your mind in that. And then they get addicted to fucking weed and they become a pot smoker. And then they take the identity of that because they hang around with a bunch of people. Like, they basically become hippies. They lack structure. They're undisciplined. They cry all the time. They're a bunch of bitches. And they constantly do it. But they smoke the weed because, well, it alleviates me. You could smoke weed and alleviate yourself. Doesn't mean that it goes away. Your stress doesn't go away. The learning aspect doesn't go away. You might go in la la land for a little bit, but when Rowdy smacks you in the fucking face or punches you in the face again, you go, oh, man, I'm so stressed out, I need to get high again. No, you're stressed out because you're stupid and ignorant and dumb or retarded or whatever words we want to use. Like, one of the guys I work with in that, you know, he's a cool dude in that. Let's talk about the male aspect of, like, what I have to deal with. I see the constructs of emotions being fucking fucked with in that, and how people use them all the damn time. They use them for the wrong reasons. Most of the time it's just, like, trying to get attention out of someone by being very vulgar with certain things. So we're sitting there working that. I'm like, okay, we're working just fine that. Then out of nowhere, he starts complaining. And no, the other two people, well, it was including me, another person, we didn't say nothing. We didn't say nothing to him. We just kept on working. And then he complained a little bit because he wanted attention. And then he stopped. So he wasn't complaining because he didn't want to do it. He was complaining because he wanted someone to talk about it. He wanted to discuss bitching about work because he really doesn't want to work because he's a lazy dude that doesn't want to work. He was spoon-fed that shit, being what you call a spoiled mind. To be like, I don't need to work in that because my mommy took care of me for so damn long in that. And now that I have all these kids and that, because my mommy spoils me because her mommy, has money or whatever it might be. So he never could understand what it is to be a man working 30, 40 hours, 50 hours a week in that. So he wants to complain about it. But when people don't react to that personality that he has, he can't do nothing, because if you don't react to someone complaining, they shut up and they just work. That's how children are. When children complain, they want attention from people. Older people, attention comes when you do something that's actually, like work related or a hobby, something that gets you stronger or something that's funny in that, or just whatever the things that you actually enjoy doing. Complaining for attention comes down to ridiculous, especially for a full-grown adult. I can understand someone like they're teenagers and that, they do a little bit of that, or maybe 20-year-olds and that when it comes down to certain things. But truthfully, we're supposed to grow up pretty quick. People nowadays, because we're spoiled because of all the advancements that we got, because of the boomers and the Gen Xers, that kind of basically made our lives the way they are today. And counting the ones before the boomers, the one that had the boomers, ones born in the 40s and that, or 50s and that, they're the ones that kind of created the bulk of society by working really fucking hard. They never had time to fucking play. Their enjoyment was working hard, like, we'll get this shit done today. And at the end of the day, they were successful at doing stuff, and they felt good about doing it. They went home with that successful, like, mindset. They went home to their families and that, and they're all happy as fuck because they got done with the day job. And their woman had food for them. The kids were all around them. And that's true happiness for a man that, nowadays we don't have that as much anymore because it's not the fundamentals aren't quite there yet. Because, stuff's too high. We got to make so much money to be able to afford anything. And some people are still doing it. They all live in apartments and shit. No one buys houses anymore because they don't have the money to fucking buy it. If they do have the money to buy it, it comes down to that they're going to be stuck in a 30, 40-year loan and that. And about the time they even fucking, retire or die, they'll pay off the fucking house. And it really defeats the purpose. So, like, and these are the things that, like I said, a lot of millennials are going into. A lot of millennials are going. Gen Xers kind of already established that because back in the 90s, that they were already in their 20s and that they're already had jobs, they're making money, and they took all the really good jobs and that from the 90s to early 2000s, that they already bought their places and that they bought their houses cheap and that they bought their cars, and they established themselves to be where they're at today. So they already had the fundamentals of the money rolling out, and their creativity and the stuff they want to do was already rolling out. You know, like nowadays it's very difficult. Like even when I was younger, now when I started working, that was like 2011. I was 21 when I got my first job, and like it was so hard to find a job. I applied for jobs constantly for like 2 years, like off and on. I applied for like 3 or 4 jobs, and then no one would never be hiring. I kept on applying, and I got a job up at Wendy's, and like I liked the place and it was pretty good, but I was too in tune with my emotions. I was worried about how people thought about me. Instead of worrying about myself and how I thought about myself, how I thought about my accomplishments, I literally would worry about everybody. Now I don't worry about anybody. I don't give a fuck what anybody does. They have their own lives. If they want, you know, if they want knowledge, I'm like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of my wisdom, or I'll talk about specific things that I know that they might not know. And these are the fundamental things that, like, a lot of people I see, they worry about what everyone else is doing. I say, because your life sucks. Your life is boring. You don't do nothing. If you actually have your hobbies and you focus on, like, I want to focus on nutrition. I want to focus on lifting. I want to focus on psychology. I want to focus on, you know, on Jesus. I want to focus on the wisdom of Christ and that. I focus on all these things that my mind keeps wanting to do because I enjoy it. Focus on playing video games. Focus on watching, you know, like watching older anime and that. You know, these are the things that keeps my mind circulating. It's the reason why you say dorky people have the best lives. Yeah, because they don't worry about fucking nothing. They worry about absolutely nothing. They worry about playing video games and blowing shit up. They don't worry about women. They don't worry about having sex. They don't worry about, well, obviously they probably don't worry about the way they look either, because, you know. But, you know, people that have that dorky sense of mind, that they're very, you know, you guys, you said very simple mind, because they only worry about, you know, how they're gonna play a video game online, playing Call of Duty or some shit like that. What's the best gun I can use for my style and that, da, da, da. But other people, they worry about what other people are doing. And dorky people will tell you that. They're like, why do you care about what other people do? Well, it's because, you know, they shouldn't be like, because, no, listen to the words that people say when they say they shouldn't be like this. I said, what you're trying to do is you're trying to be a narcissist, control freak. You want everyone to be like you, but no one's like you because you are you. If you could worry about how you are as a person, upgrade yourself to be, you know, more successful in something, then you wouldn't have to worry about anybody else, because no one else matters in that personal sense. Personally, you come first. When it comes down to this world, in the spiritual world, God comes first. Fleshy world, you know, you can say God comes first too, but you know, you always want to put God first before everything. But when it comes down to it, you know, and the reality that you live in, you come first. It comes down to your life, to your health, because the way you act in this life, especially if you go with what God intentionally wants us to be like, you would have a great, perfect life. But people will fucking hate on you, though, because they're just lovey negative. Like, we'll go down this road, and this is what makes it really fucking funny in that. So this one chick I used to work with in that, you know, where I work at now, she had a conversation with me about her sister. Her sister's married with kids and that, and she despises her because she has kids and all that stuff. And the first thing she says, she's like, well, she has all these problems and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, but if you look at how she is, you know why she's like that? Because she has faith. She's like, well, she goes to church. Exactly. She has faith in the Almighty God that gave her all these things because of her faith. But you are a paganist demon worshiper, and the demons are literally just saying, you know, like, yeah, you could be like her, but you're not worthy to be like her, because God doesn't deem you worthy. The thing of it is, that's an utter lie. So, like,
this woman like develops about anger and wants to be native all the time because that's what she pushes. She literally does like rituals and shit. And like she's like doesn't go anywhere in her life, but she doesn't understand that those demons that you worship have no fucking power. You have all the power over them because they tempt you. You don't have to fucking be tempted. You can resist it and push on. You don't need to listen to the whispers. The whispers eventually die down when you pray to Jesus because they all go away because they know Jesus is king. But I like, one of the things that, me and her always had a conversation about, she was trying to succubus me. And I found it was kind of funny in that. Because I was sitting there, like, you have a man that, but you're getting really fucking close to me, all sugarcoating that. You're letting me check your butt out and that, because you're always bending over in front of me and that. You're doing all these prerogative things. You think that, yeah, lustful men will fall for that, because that's what lustful men do. But righteous men don't fall for that. But these women think all guys are the same. They think all men want pussy. And it's not about getting the pussy. It's about that you're lustful, and that lustfulness is not fucking attractive at all. This is what I try to tell men. It's like, if you want love, you have to think about love. If you just want to lust of the flesh, then you think about lust of the flesh. But if you can't lust for the flesh, that means that you want to be in love. That means that you're taking God, that God got you already, and you want to be loved. But women that are born of the devil will lust after those type of men because they know they can't get them, but they'll try. That's what happened with my ex. She tried enormous amount of times, butt ass naked, big huge booty, and she tried everything fucking possible. But the thing of it is, it wasn't attractive. Like, yeah, her ass was fat. It was nice. But, like, the lust from her was so heavy, it wasn't anything that I fucking enjoyed. Like, one of the things I enjoyed with her was just watching TV and just, like, cuddling with her and that, and, playing some games together and shit. But with her and that, it was like, she was super fucking lustful, and like you could just see it in her fucking in her mind and that. Like, her mind track was just like, I need a man, but I don't know how to keep a man besides, bend over and take it and maybe cook some food for him. I said, no, you have to love the fucking man. That's what it is. You have to be content with that man. You have to trust that man. That man has to trust you. And when the trust broke, it fell apart. Then her true side came out. And then who she really was an angry fucking, person. I would say twat waffle. She's a woman, but like, she was an angry person that constantly fucking angry, hating on everything. I'm like, dude, but you're like 30 years old. Why? So you already fucked up your life, and I want you to just get better and stop doing the same shit over and over again. Like, you're lying, like, one of the things is, like, she was lying to me going to work with full-fledged makeup on. I said, who are you trying to seduce? And I'm not trying to seduce you, and I already knew that she was. Like, girl, you don't go into work with full fucking makeup on. No one goes into work with full makeup on unless we're trying to get fucking someone else to fuck on. You're like, just stop. Just stop. Like, you can't be that fucking stupid, because you do the same thing with me, you dumbass. And that's the one thing, you're a liar. You don't want to commit to anything that's hard. You want everything to be easy. You want everyone to look at you and say, like, you're a princess. Yeah, princess, you know what princesses are? Most princesses are pretty fucking stupid. Pretty much, because they're spoiled. But some of them are actually well off and very fucking actually educated. They actually know things. They know how to be a what? A fucking a woman. They don't sit there and try to act like a fucking dude. They don't need to. Because their beauty alone gets man's attention. Yeah, women don't have to worry about shit. Just look good. It's that simple. Drop the fucking weight. Maybe work out a little bit. Get a thicker butt on you or something. Or sit there and eat right. You don't need implant boobies and all that stuff like that, because that doesn't even matter. If you don't have the tits, you just don't have the tits. Eat right. Be proper. Be sweet, smell good. It's like various of things.
A dirty fucking woman is fucking disgusting. A dirty man, yeah. Some women get turned on by that shit. But men are meant to be more sweaty, you know, stuff like that. Because first of all, they have more hair and they have more muscles, so more or less likely they're gonna burn off more energy in that and be able to sit there. They're gonna sweat more and they're gonna smell like shit a little bit. It's just how it is. But women, you shouldn't be smelling like dookie breath and shit. There's no way. You should take fucking. You should be leaner. Now, when I see a fat chick, I just think that they're just lazy and disgusting. When I see that they're really fucking fat at a young age. Like older people, that I understand, because it's a lifestyle. Sometimes you just change, you just get lazy in that. But someone that's young in that, like most of the women I see are fucking fit as fuck. They're skinny, with perky booties. They all look fucking good. They're all very beautiful. Because they're skinny with perky booties. Some of them have big boobs, and it all depends. But they all look good. But some of these women, they're just fucking fat, out of shape. They smell bad. Even the ones that are skinny and that, sometimes you can tell that they're just fucking dirty. They got dirty ass hair and that. You know, like one of the ladies I work with and that, you know, I can tell that she's, you know, she has some depressing issues and that. But it's because she's a liar. I know that she lies. She'll say like multiple different things that don't make sense. When I hear about that, I was like, oh. Like one of the times that this is funny because your sister actually talked about that. I thought it was kind of funny that, you know, a little white lie, but whatever. I don't know why people lie. Just tell the fucking truth. She was high as fuck or something like that, and like someone tried to call her in to work because someone called off. They called her. They called her in, but she was fucking gone, like completely oblivious to the world. And she was sitting there, and she made up some excuse in that, and so it was like, oh yeah, I'm someplace right now, so I can't come in. And then her sister was working with us, and so her sister like called the other sibling, and she's like, where's she at? She's like, oh no, she's all high and all fucked up. She's not anywhere. She's just sitting there. And then she told the man, she's like, yeah, she's just sitting there and that, you know, all fucked up and that, you know, and saying that she's that and this and that. And so everybody knows that she was lying. I said, why do you have to lie like that? Well, I don't want to tell anyone that I'm fucking high off my ass. Of course you're high. We already know that you're fucked up. It's like, just because you got clean off of heavy drugs, you know, but doesn't mean that you don't do drugs, dumbass. Like, drugs are always going to be related to you because that's all you fucking talk about. Now, you come in and say, I ate all these fucking edibles and that, and, you know, I didn't know they were so, like, high off stuff and that. And then until they told me. So you ate 3 edibles, and then you got knocked off your fucking ass like a retard. And, like, you're, like, 30-something years old. You're 30. Like, when is it going to be time for you to grow up? Like, why? Why you keep living the same life over and over and over again for a decade or so now? When you have potential to be a legitimately good woman, but you potentially just do this childish shit over and over again. Ain't the one reason. You have bad guidance. You get guided by Christ. You don't go through that. Your spirit cleans out. The temptations don't hurt you. You don't worry about your past. I can bring up my past and talk about, oh, yeah, we used to play my favorite game, Shining Force 2 on Sega Genesis. We used to go up to Blockbuster and that, and we used to hide the cartridge somewhere so that every weekend when we get home from school and that, we would go up there, we would get it, and me and my brothers would all play it in that. We would all have, there's 3 boxes you could save in, so we'd all, like, have different names in that, so we know who we were in that. So we would all play it. And then when it came down to it, you know, I would watch them play that, then I would play it after they would do it, and then I would watch them play, and then, we would always do that stuff, and that was the funnest thing in life. So I remember when we actually bought the game, and my parents hid it from us because we were playing it too much. They remember the cartridge that they put it on top of the bathroom cabin and that, we were all short because we were all fucking like young, like 6'9", like maybe 10 or 12, so we couldn't fucking reach it. And then we found out that it was there, so we ended up going up there and grabbing it, and we started playing it again. It's like, oh, why'd you take it away from us? I wish I still had the cartridge, so. I miss the Sega Genesis stuff. To put in the cartridge in that. I do miss the physical media in that. Everything's so digital nowadays. You can't just like put in something and fucking play it. Like I have my N64 here. You put in the cartridge and you just turn it on and it plays the game. Because then it automatically does. You don't have to download anything. I don't like this digital world too much. It's all about downloading shit. It takes forever to download stuff and that. You know. And like, this is why, you know, like Xbox is saying we're never going to get rid of like physical media. And now PlayStation saying it's like, well, we'll eventually go all digital now, but we are going to work with retails and that to be able, for people to be able to buy games and stuff. I'm like, you should. You should never get rid of it. The thing of it is, like, you still have to download the fucking game. You can't just put it in and have it play. You still have to download it, and it's fucking stupid. Ooh, man. I don't know. Ooh, but that anime I was watching was pretty fucking cool. It was like an hour and 30 minutes long. I thought there was more to it, but I guess not. Oh, it's volume 1, so there's more volumes of it. Let's see. Let's see. This guy has. Oh, it is on Crunchyroll. Oh, it is. Cool. Cool, I'll watch it then.